Alright, good morning, everybody. It's me, man, Xico, with my podcast, Xico Story. And yeah, I'm recording a podcast. What's the date? It's 3:30. Not the time, that's the date. March 30th, 2022. But the time is 4:38, in case you're wondering. But yeah, man, it's another day, another dollar, man. Another day, another holler, man. Alright. You know what's interesting, man? I think it's the most interesting thing is people. Like, people are so interesting. The more that I, because if I look back in my life, I did not really talk that much, to be honest, all the way up until, man, I feel like I never really talked until like recently, honestly, like the last couple of years. I feel like all throughout elementary, all throughout middle school, all throughout most of high school, I didn't really talk, maybe like with a couple people I would have like conversations, but I don't really feel like I really talk to people. So I don't think I really got to really know people, got to know my friends, got to know, my classmates at school, got to know my family. I never really had deep or even like much of a conversation. I was really, I wouldn't say I was shy, I was just really awkward. I am still awkward to this day, but I think I'm just a really weird kid that never really talked, but then like the last couple years I really started like talking more and having like actual conversations with people, getting to know them, and it's interesting, man. I don't know what your guys' experiences are, but when I talk to people, I swear they like open up a lot, I think in my case, I don't know, maybe I'm not really a judgy person, and I'm open to hearing a lot of different thoughts and opinions and views and beliefs, and I'm not a very, I don't believe I'm a very rude, or I'm kind of rude sometimes, but I don't think I'm, when someone tells me something, I don't put it off. I like to listen and actually hear what they got to say. So I think because of that I bring, when I talk to people, they open up a lot, sometimes really fast, which is interesting. But yeah, as I got to talk and meet more people, all types of people, and got to have a conversation about them and listen about their lives, their past, their current, what they have planned for the future, what they like, what they don't like, all that type of things. People are three-dimensional, like people aren't just what you judge them by based off what you look at them. It's really interesting because I feel like a lot of people just, they look at somebody and already have this preconceived idea about them, without even really getting to know them. And honestly, I think we all do that to some degree. Some people, they like just straight up are judgy as hell and just like kind of racist. Like they'll like look at somebody and be like, "Oh, you're this, that means this," But I think to some degree we all do it. Like even me, I might look at somebody and be like, "Oh, because of this, they might be this." But the thing I always keep in mind is I'm probably wrong. Most of the time, what I think is not true, because people are not what they seem like. I mean, some cases it might be true, some cases it may not. But just like as you get to know people, you realize people are kind of all the same. If you really break it down, everybody, no matter how hard they look, how tough they look, no matter how handsome or pretty they are or whatever, no matter how everybody has one thing in common. Everybody's insecure to some degree, no matter how you look at it. Like the buffest guy you meet, you might think, man, this guy is confident as fuck, he's buff as fuck, but he's probably usually the buffest people, not all the cases, but they're like the most insecure. They're buff for a reason. Maybe they got like bullied when they're young, and they're like smaller when they're young, and they like got pushed around a lot, and that what motivated to them to become buff. Because I remember I heard the story of this one guy. He was right now he's very buff as fuck, very strong buff dude, goes to the gym all the time. But I remember the story was that when he was a kid, he was, I don't know what happened, but basically he got into some sort of beef or problem with some older kids in the neighborhood or at school or something like that, and they like gonna beat him up, right? And then they chased him all the way to his house, and then the guy locked himself inside his house, and then the people that were trying to beat him up were like pounding on the door, pounding, and he was like so scared. He called his mom, trying to get her to come home so that the kids can go away and stuff. And then I forgot how it ended up, but anyway, that was after that happened, he was like, I don't want to ever go through this again. And he started going to the gym and getting buff, you know, because he's like, I don't want anybody to punk me anymore. I don't want to get bullied, beat up, and all that. So he went hard as fuck and went to the gym. That was his motivation. And, you know, now if you look at him today, he's buff as fuck, you know. But you can be like, this guy's confident. But if you talk to him and get to know him, you're like, no, I'm actually insecure. Because when I was a kid, I was almost beat the fuck up, and I never wanted that to happen again. So I used that so I can get buff, so I never had to have the fear of getting beat up again. You know, everybody has their story. Like, we always look at somebody at their current state, you know, and think we know them, but you don't know about their past and what they've been through. You know, a lot of people, they're you know, like, you start to see patterns. You know, like some people that are like very antisocial and they like to like be distant from people and all that, and they say that they don't like people, don't trust people and all that. Well, they're usually like that because they were done wrong in the past, you know, and because that they had so much trust in people, they gave so much to people, then they got hurt, and that what caused them to close off and become distant, antisocial. But they're not really antisocial. There's just some people that I've seen, they just are like that because they were hurt, and because of that hurt, that caused them to do, you know, close up and all that. And that, actually, that, now I think about it, yeah, usually a lot of people in life, they're hurt by something, and that causes them to change. Not change, but that causes them to be a certain way, you know, like how I gave that buff guy example. When he was a kid, he was hurt, you know, and because of that, that made him get buff. And like that antisocial people I'm talking about, well, they were probably hurt by somebody that they trusted, and because of that hurt, it caused them to be closed off and not be untrustworthy, you know, because everybody that got trust issues is because they were, you know, something happened, you know. So you just gotta get to know people, man. People will really surprise you, and I love having conversation with people. Like, that's one of my favorite things in the whole world, is to have a good conversation with somebody. Because, like, even if it's like a freaking 10-minute quick conversation, someone could say not much in those 10 minutes, but I learned that I can kind of pick up on things now, you know, these little hints, you know, the way that someone says a certain thing tells a lot about them. It's hard to explain, but, you know, people, they give away a lot. The more that I talk to people, I'm like, oh, I see things, I notice things now. I think it took me a long time to figure that as well, because I was very gullible for a long time. I was very believable and everything, you know, but now I'm like, oh, I can kind of see, hear the hints, hear this, you know, like, people, they'll say a certain thing in a certain way, and I'm like, oh, that means this. I could tell. Body language too tells a lot too. I like to observe. I like looking at people. Like when I'm out and about, I like to like kind of look around, just notice how people behave, their body language and stuff. It's really interesting. It's super interesting, and people are like really, really interesting. It's so interesting. But yeah, you know, cause like you might meet somebody that's like, here's another example, like a buff guy who looks, you know, like quote unquote cool or whatever, like a jock or whatever. But you might meet him and get to know him, and you're like, oh, this guy's actually a nerd on the inside. Like, he likes video games, he likes comic books, he likes all this, you know. And I think that one thing that's cool about how the world is now is that the world is way more open, and we're more accepting of things, you know. Now that, you know, comic book movies are cool, Spider-Man, all that is cool. You see a lot of people, older people now, that are like opening up. They're like, yeah, I love Spider-Man, and like, yeah, I love Batman and all these things. But I bet you back in the day when they were younger, they would have kept that to themselves, because they were ashamed or embarrassed of their passion or the thing they like. But now that things are more accepting, they're like open to come up now. People are like, yeah, I like this. So what? Which is pretty cool. I see that with anime. Like it's crazy. When I was younger, anime was not cool. But now everybody's likes it now, which is great. I love that. And you see a lot more like people that you wouldn't think like anime come out and say they like anime, which is so cool. I'm like, oh, this whole time you like anime? I'm like, we could have bonded over this, man. You were just too cool to talk about it. What the hell? But you know what I mean. But yeah, people, you learn a lot, man. Don't judge a book by its cover. Even if you look at me, I don't know what. I feel like I'm weird. I don't know. People think I'm all sorts of things, but yeah, you gotta talk to people, get to know them. Everybody got a past. Everybody got a story to tell. Everybody got something to say. No matter who. I just like hearing people, and I'm a listener. I'm more of a listener. I like to, in the conversation, I'll be the one asking questions and listening to what they have to say, because I love listening to what people say, and I always learn something no matter what. Even if somebody has opposing views, opposite beliefs of me, I can still have a conversation with them, and I hear them out. And sometimes some things they might have some points that I agree with, and some points that I don't, but I always can take those things that I agree with and get like a lesson out of it. I always can, no matter what conversation, I always get something out of it. I feel like no matter what happens, even in life, like if good or bad happens to me, I can always get a lesson out of it. I can always get something out of it, and that's just something you gotta kind of practice, because it's not easy. You gotta like practice listening, because I always thought I was a good listener, but I realized that when I would be in a conversation, I was more so listening to talk. I was like listening for my turn to talk. But now I feel like I'm better. Like when I'm having a conversation, I'm listening to what they have to say and giving replies to what they're saying, not waiting for my turn to talk and say my point. And when I actually listen to people, I'm like, oh, people are very interesting. They have these great points, great lessons that they tell me, and I always take it in and apply it to my life or use it somehow. And I've also been very blessed or lucky in a way that a lot of the jobs I work at, I'm usually like the youngest person, and I work around a lot of older people. And older people love to give advice, man, love to tell stories, love to give life lessons, and I always love listening, because they're wise. I think a lot of people, they don't realize that these people are trying to help you, and they've been through life, and they're trying to make you not go through the same thing, trying to help you out, trying to give you advice, tips, and all that. And for a while, I was like really stubborn and didn't like listening to people, and and all that. But now I really listen, even if it's someone that, never mind. But yeah, they're just trying to help out. So I think I've been very lucky in that way, that I've had a lot of very nice older people that I've worked with that helped me out in life and gave me a lot of tips, life advice, and all that. And yeah, I'm very thankful for that. It's pretty cool. But yeah, life's all about growing and learning, man. It's all about growing and learning. I don't think you ever stop learning and growing, man. Even when you're fucking 62, even at your deathbed, you're still fucking learning and growing, And the thing is, how I say we young people learn from older people, but older people can still learn stuff from us, because they might give us some life advice, but I guess for example, technology, we know more about technology, we can teach them about technology, or we can teach them about current things going on, educate them. Not educate, but just everybody can learn from everybody. Just gotta be a little open-minded, and don't have too much pride thinking you know everything, because nobody knows everything, man. Nobody knows everything. Everybody's still trying their best as they go through life, and everybody's trying their best, man. That's what I realized too. I realized like nobody knows everything, even like you're superior at your job. You might think, oh, this person knows everything about this, but they make mistakes too, you know? Shit. I heard this one story, there was this YouTube studio thing called Maker Studio, and they will like monetize channels. You get paid through them, through their program or whatever, right? And then I remember the CEO of Disney walked through Maker Studio to check it out to see how it was and everything, right? And he walked around, he's like, this is $1 million company, right? And then the CEO, I guess Disney as a whole, made the decision to buy Maker Studio, right? For like crazy amount, millions of dollars, 500 million or something. It was a huge amount. And then what had happened was Maker Studio went bankrupt and Disney lost all their money. So that shows you right there, what does the CEO of Disney know? Okay, this guy's the CEO of the fucking biggest, one of the biggest companies in the world, right? And and you would think he knows everything. This guy's top dog. He knows everything. He's so smart. He's a businessman, all this, right? But he walked through Maker Studio, which was a piece of shit company, you know? You didn't even have to wait for the bankruptcy to happen. Like, if you were in the YouTube world and you're a YouTuber, you would have known Maker Studio was a piece of shit company and not going to do well. But he walked through it and he said, this is like $1 million company, and bought it, right? And it went bankrupt, and Disney lost all their money on Maker Studio. So that just give you an example. You know, not everybody knows everything. Not everybody is 100% correct in everything. The CEO of Disney right there fucked up, all right? And there's probably hundreds of CEOs, thousands of CEOs out there that fucked up, that keep fucking up to this day, right? But the thing about them is you don't fuck up and give up. You fuck up and you learn from that and you keep going. But yeah, that just shows you, they don't know everything. Like they don't know everything, man. You know, not everybody knows everything. Everybody's just trying their best, going through life. You know, even older people, even your parents, everybody. You know, you're still learning and growing. But that's the beautiful thing about life. You're always learning and growing. I love to learn. I don't like really sitting in the classroom and learning. I like learning I like watching stories, movies, reading manga, watching anime, because they always have a lesson in there. That's one way to learn, because it's really the author trying to communicate a message, you know. I like learning through listening to people, having conversation, hearing what they have to say. I love learning about that. And also, like, the best teacher you're ever gonna have is life, you know. Life's the best teacher ever. Nothing's gonna teach you better than life, you know. Like, you can hear what someone has to say, all their advice, all their life advice. You could read a book about all the shit you gotta do. You can watch a movie, whatever. But nothing's gonna teach you more than life, okay? Actually going through something and experiencing it. Nothing's gonna teach you better than life. And life's my favorite teacher. I love living life and learning everything. But yeah, man. I don't even know what the fuck the topic of this podcast was. I just rambled, but anyway, thank you for listening, man. It's another episode, video, whatever you want to call it, of Xico's story. I'm here every week in my room, recording this on my phone. But yeah, thank you again for watching, as always, for taking time out your day to watch this video. Xico's story on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. I have my Instagram in the description. I have my Twitter as well, Xico2, XICOTWOO. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, again, thank you for watching, man. I'm here every week. All right, catch me in my room, recording this on my phone. Thank you. Yeah, hope you have a nice day, man. Just keep going, learning and shit. Go.